I have a coworker who entered the company a few months ago. After a while, we became close work friends and would always end up sitting next to each other to talk and gossip. Slowly, he started to become really touchy, messing with my hair, squeezing my cheeks, elbow and arms, poking my shoulder constantly while we talk, sitting close to the point our legs are touching, and so on. We started this thing where every time we are close, he holds my hand, even if it's just for a few seconds. He always tries to make me laugh when I'm on a video call and, in general, is really fun to be around. I started to develop feelings for him, but then a coworker told me he had a girlfriend and had been together for about 10 years. This left me really confused. I'm not sure if he is just a really touchy person and that's his love language. He is not touchy with anyone else in the office. I would definitely feel a little weird if my boyfriend did that with a friend. Update 3 months later, I set some boundaries. A coworker told me he just proposed to his girlfriend. Story 1. Given how close you are as friends, the fact that he hasn't mentioned his 10-year girlfriend is your tip-off. That's the part that makes me wonder about his intentions. Friends talk about their lives, and a long-term girlfriend is a big part of that. Given the touchy familiarity, I would doubt that his intentions are honorable. Story 2. This is not platonic affection. I have close female friends. Some of them I've known for 25, 30 years or more. We are affectionate in the sense that we hug when we see each other. We might have an arm around a shoulder for a minute while chatting with friends. Maybe a slap on the back or shoulder while joking around. What you are describing is a guy who is working his way toward cheating on his girlfriend with you. Story 3. Completely unacceptable closeness, unless they have an open relationship or are looking for a third partner. But then, you wouldn't have learned from a coworker he was taken. It actually tells you everything you need to know about his honesty. Story 4. Yeah, no, that's really weird. A lot of that sounds like harmless flirtation. Some of it is absolutely way over the line. Holding hands? Good friends, and he never mentioned a very long-term girlfriend? Yeah, that's pretty slimy. But also, who knows? You're hearing from a coworker that he had a girlfriend. Maybe they've broken up, and he hadn't told his coworkers about it? Maybe there's more to the story than what you've heard? If he really does have a long-term relationship he hadn't mentioned, this is quite inappropriate. But if I were in your position, I'd ask him directly. Story 5. If he respects his relationship and his girlfriend, none at all. And for the original poster, if you respect yourself, you'll have nothing to do with him other than professional courtesy. Because if he would do this to a girlfriend of 10 years, even if he left that relationship to pursue you, he'll do it to you eventually. Story 6. Hard to say without knowing the guy, but it's not something I would do. I also have a girlfriend of 10 years. There's a good chance he is developing feelings based on what you've said. But if that is the case, then it could all get very messy very quickly. I noticed you mentioned you also have a boyfriend, so it may be worth just being open with him, the work guy, and seeing what happens from there. If you're both willing to leave your existing partners for a relationship, then fair play. If not, then I would advise against it. If he's willing to cheat on her after 10 years, then I very much doubt he'd have an issue cheating on you. I now see that the boyfriend you mentioned may have been a hypothetical one, but the point still stands either way. It's no coincidence that he hasn't mentioned his girlfriend of 10 years to you, despite being close work friends. Story 7. He likes you and is pushing boundaries. His intentions might be to have a work girlfriend he gets emotion and affection with or to outright cheat. You should ask him about the girlfriend since he's failed to mention it. Story 8. Not at all. I try not to touch platonic female friends at all. Just short to normal hugs to say hello and goodbye, but that's it. I feel really weird around touchy people who are just platonic friends. However, I do know people who are fairly touchy with girls and boys despite having a girlfriend. I always thought that was weird, and I'm pretty sure they would do more than just touching when given the chance. But then again, your friend could just be a touchy person. Who knows? It doesn't matter anyway, I think. Do you really want to pursue someone who would touch other girls even when in a relationship for 10 years? Story 9. It's generally considered highly inappropriate for a man to touch his female friend's face or hold her hand unless there is underlying reciprocal sexual tension, and all men are instinctively aware of this. The fact that he has a girlfriend makes this unambiguously inappropriate. I would beware of this Lothario if I were you. Story 10. When I have a girlfriend, I will hug my female friends. I will crack their back if they ask me to. A quick shoulder rub is no big deal if they ask. I also do it for my male friends. I will have my arm around her shoulders if we are standing side by side. We might dance. There are some cultural differences to consider. As a Caribbean guy, dancing closely with friends is no big deal. But it might shock other cultures who think that kind of dance is only appropriate for couples in private. The general rule I go by, if it looks inappropriate to do the same thing with a male friend, then I am doing too much with my female friend. Story 11. I really do not like physical contact with women whom I am not intimate with. I do not know why, but it makes me really uncomfortable, even if I do not necessarily like them. Story 12. I have a close female friend, and we are both in long-term relationships. When I see her, which is not often, we will hug. That's all the touching that goes on. Story 13. As touchy as I am with my male friends, not very. If he went over to one of his male friends and started playing with their hair, squeezing their cheeks, etc., what kind of response would that get? This is a good litmus test to see if someone is acting weird with an opposite-sex platonic friend. Story 14. I knew plenty of guys like this. My best friend who dated his girlfriend of 8 years would go around the office giving shoulder massages to other female coworkers and be flirty with them. I once saw him tap a girl's butt, and she was all smiles. Sexual harassment, anyone? Of course not, because he was good-looking and worked out. For some reason, women accept debauchery from men who look good, laugh out loud. Anyways, long story short, this dude was definitely cheating on his girlfriend of 8 years. Pretty sad because she was devoted and loyal. I am no longer friends with him, as you can tell from his character. He wasn't a good friend either. Story 15. I have one very close friend who is a lady, and I've always seen her as like my sister from a different mister. We have known each other for, I think, close to 7 years by now. We hug a lot when we see each other since we live far away, but literally never anything more than that. She might grab my wrist to get my attention or take me somewhere, but that's the only other physical interaction I think I've ever had. I've definitely never held hands with her or touched her hair. I helped her zip up a corset once at a Renaissance fair, but that wasn't affectionate, just helping her get her outfit going. I'm definitely not trying to play with her hair or hold hands or do leg touches. That's the kind of stuff that happens when you're physically attracted and letting your hormones have a feeding frenzy. And if the dude has a girlfriend, he's definitely crossing a ton of lines. Definitely have a conversation about comfortable boundaries. Story 16. This is kind of the reason guys don't like their girlfriends around other men. This is clear-cut that he is into you in some way. Making an excuse for him, thinking it might be his love language. Having your legs touch is how people show friendship. Story 17. I mean, as a guy, I don't think you can be ignorant of touching women being more than innocent. First, because guys are assumed to be stronger, and any guy is aware of not forcing anything physical with a woman. It's like elementary school level. You don't touch girls. And second, guys don't do that type of thing with other guys. He's not doing that because he does that with his friends. He does that to you because you're a woman. The fact that you're the only woman he does that with at work simply implies he is interested in more. If there is no sexual connotation to what he is doing, why isn't he comfortable touching other guys' legs and holding their hands? I knew a guy who would similarly pretend to innocently touch women and then, when out drinking with the boys, brag about the women who cheated on their boyfriends with him. Story 18. Yeah, that guy is into you. We don't do things like that, and frankly, these days I wouldn't even do that to a girl I was into. It's a minefield these days. Story 19. You answered your own question there. Not appropriate at all. In the workplace, having a girlfriend is a red flag. Lose those feelings and avoid him. He won't treat you any better. He knows what he is doing. Thank goodness you have a heart to consider his girlfriend. It's a bit odd he never mentioned her to you, but a colleague did. That was your warning. Take heed and stop his nonsense. Maintain distance and keep it strictly professional. Maybe the other colleague has seen this behavior from him before, given that you have not been there long. If you know and feel it's not right, it is not. Platonic friends are not touchy-feely, even more so if the friend is of the opposite sex. If he was your boyfriend, as you said, you would not be happy with this at all. It's time to respect her and yourself. If your feelings develop more and you become a couple, you would never trust him. Story 20. It's very inappropriate, and it worked on you, unfortunately. And stop doing those things with him from now on. If he questions you, confront him about the girlfriend. Story 21. My rule for platonic relationships is this. If a reasonable romantic partner would be upset by my behavior, I'm doing something wrong. The way he is acting, I bet his girlfriend would be upset. Story 22. Even when I was single and had very close female friends, I avoided playful touching. Most men can't be playful without being seen as creepy. In this case, what he's doing is inappropriate. Story 23. A coworker told me he had a girlfriend and they have been together for about 10 years. Rather than feel awkward, I would just ask him, especially if you have feelings for him. It's possible he became single years ago and just never bothered to update the coworker. Maybe look up his Facebook and see if his picture is of him and his girlfriend ahead of time or just him. Otherwise, if he is not single, it would be totally inappropriate. Story 24. That's weird. I'm confused too. I'm in a serious relationship myself, and even if that weren't the case, the most I'd feel comfortable with is hugging unless we were both single and I wanted to try and move things beyond being just friends. Story 25. As a male, it does not matter if he has a girlfriend, wife, fiancé, or is single. I think it is completely inappropriate and not okay to have this sort of physical interaction with a coworker. Story 26. Not at all. I do not touch friends outside of little hugs or fist bumps when we greet each other. Dude sounds like a scumbag. He's 100% showing interest in you. Story 27. Full-on inappropriate and creeper status. Even when I've been single, I don't flirt like that. If we're not together or dating, no touching from me. So if he has a 10-year relationship and is acting like that, I can only assume so many things about him. Story 28. Sounds like he is flirting with you, to be honest. A lot of what he is doing is overstepping boundaries. Just remember that if you do end up getting together in the future, there is a good chance he will do the same thing to you that he is doing to his girlfriend. You probably deserve better. Story 29. This seems out of line, and he shouldn't be behaving this way if he is already in a committed relationship. Classic case of wanting his cake and eating it too. Story 30. Good friends get a hug when we meet up. Maybe a shoulder touch or pat if we're out having drinks and having fun. That's it. That's all the touching. All that other stuff you mentioned I only do with my wife. Story 31. Nah, that brother is trying to cheat. I came in expecting a guy giving people hugs when he arrives and another one when he leaves. Heck, I'd even give a pass for the old school kiss on the cheek as a greeting. This is not that. Story 32. My unpopular opinion is that platonic affection between everyone should be more common. I played a lot of sports as a kid, and I miss the affection between teammates. Napping together on the way to track meets, walking to the soccer field with someone's arm around my shoulders, having someone randomly rub my shoulders, even someone helping me stretch before a wrestling match was nice. Painful sometimes, but nice. The only people who touch me now are my wife and my son, and that is only a total of a few minutes a day. I worked at an outdoor adventure place for a while in college and got a taste of that again. Because we helped each other with gear, the physical touch barrier got broken very quickly, and since we all lived in the same space and shared showers and such, it wasn't weird to have someone just come cuddle up on the couch with you or give you a back rub. Not having that makes me really lonely. That's not what's happening here. This dude wants to have a physical relationship. But those are my thoughts. Story 33. How touchy are men with their platonic female friends when they have a girlfriend? We're not, assuming we respect our partners and the sanctity of a dedicated and closed relationship. I think a good general rule of thumb is that if you are in a relationship with someone, then you never want to be seen by a third party doing something with another potential partner that could be viewed as being unfaithful or questionable. Perception is often more relevant than reality, and if it looks like a person is doing something unfaithful, then it doesn't really matter what their intentions were because it's going to be hard to prove otherwise. If you respect your relationship, then you just really don't want to do something questionable with another person and cause doubt to form about your faithfulness. Story 34. Honestly, it doesn't matter what any of the men here say they do or don't do. What matters is how you feel about the situation. If you are uncomfortable, say so and make the situation stop. If you do not mind, continue but have clear boundaries. Story 35. Holding hands or legs touching is over the line for me. I've got little sister friends who I'll happily jab if they're being an annoyance. But if I was holding hands, that immediately means, hey, I like this person more than I should. Story 36. With friends, I mirror what she does most of the time. Friendship works both ways, so you get a feel for what everyone is comfortable with, but in this case, no. This isn't okay. If you were that close, you should have been told about his partner, even in passing. Mentioning almost anything about my life brings up who I am doing it with. I would say this one is weird. He's flirting, especially if you aren't directly doing it either, and he hasn't mentioned a partner. This is also at work. You're not friends but coworkers with an expected level of professionalism in the office. Messing with someone's cheeks is not okay. I wouldn't do this with someone I was dating. Avoid. Story 37. I am a hugger, and I occasionally poke a shoulder or two if I want someone's attention and you are within my range. But no more than that with platonic friends. But after reading your story, that relationship does not come across as platonic at all. Story 38. To be honest, it's weird. First off, it's work, so it's already inappropriate. But second, the dude has a long-term girlfriend. I mean, maybe it's just a really good friendship, and that is how he is with his friends, but I think it's a bit much.